Babe!
What?
We got a letter in the mail.
What?
Guess who it's from?
What?
It's from FEMA. Guess what they said?
Rejected.
Yes, right.
Rejected.
It's unbelievable.
Hurricane Helene victims completely abandoned. Some North Carolina residents continue to receive rejection letters for FEMA aid, others being forced to live in tents still as they wait for temporary housing, even as temperatures drop below freezing, potentially as low as 18 degrees this weekend.
The situation remains dire, yet military personnel have apparently decided to head home early for Thanksgiving. The Army, Air Force, National Guard have pulled their service members out of Western North Carolina, leaving no boots on the ground for these families.
Joining us now, North Carolina residents who have been documenting this disaster as husband and wife. Asheville photographer Matt Van Swol and documentary filmmaker Erin Derham. Matt and Erin, we can't thank you enough for being here, because if nobody is there to report on it regularly, people forget about it. And Matt, we played the clip of you getting the FEMA letter. Just talk about the lack of aid that you personally have received or have not received, but also the just lack of response from FEMA that you are seeing to this day.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. You know, it's taking people forever to get any sort of response from FEMA, and it's not like the job is done. You know, the National Guard is pulling out as if everything's fine. You know, we can all go back to normal. Things are not back to normal whatsoever. I mean, we were walking down the Riverwalk with my family for the first time in weeks, and there's just piles of trash 30 feet high along the downtown Riverwalk. You know, anyone can go there and walk through it. And it looks like a bomb has gone off. You know, all of the businesses are flattened. It's wild, and they're just pulling out. And Erin has been talking to people who have been living in tents this morning, trying to get them help.
I mean, Erin, I'm sort of struck by that. And as Dagan pointed out, it's not being reported. But I mean, you get into this cold weather situation. I'm a Minnesotan. Like, I understand what it's like when it gets cold, and the inability, I mean, in some cases to survive, if you're talking 18 degrees, what are those folks thinking right now? What are they feeling?
Put simply, they feel abandoned. I have been on my phone nonstop for the past 4 days, working off of a Google form where people can go and say, okay, we've been denied by FEMA, we've been denied by insurance, and they give us their circumstances. And then I call and help with a very small group of just 5 people called Operation Shelter. And we're just doing everything we can to get these people out of tents. I spoke with 2 families this morning. One has a 1-year-old, another one is disabled elderly people, and these people are living in tents in Swannanoa. The last time we came on Fox to talk about the tents, we were told by FEMA and other organizations that that's not true. Nobody's living in a tent. Those are volunteers. That is a lie. I am speaking with moms that one of them was pregnant. Wow. She was living in a moldy, covered RV with no electricity, no running water. We got Mercury One to give her a hotel for the next 2 weeks while this incredible church in Utah fills a gorgeous, like, Magnolia Network level RV and brings it or we have a firefighter going to pick up the RV for her and bring it to Asheville. Huh. So, I mean, it's literally 5 of us just working all day, all night. And Matt turned to me this morning and he was like, we're doing like the job of FEMA right now.
Yeah. But Erin, to that point, from day one, and I started covering it. I went to school in Wake Forest in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Yeah. I spent many, many years and much time in Western North Carolina, like up in Banner Elk and that area, so kind of north of y'all. And we started covering what was happening with the literal aerial army of private helicopter pilots going in and rescuing people and saving lives because Governor Roy Cooper waited 6 days after the storm hit to call in active duty military. And only 10% of the National Guard had been called in. And all they could do, the federal government and the state leaders, was lie and deny what we were reporting. But I don't want to go off on a tangent, Matt. What are the trailers showing up from FEMA? It seems like there is still a focus on photo ops and creating the impression that the government is doing something rather than actually helping.
Yeah, that's typical government. They said today they've delivered 27 trailers to people in Western North Carolina. 27 isn't going to cover it. There are hundreds of people waiting for these trailers, and it's not like they don't have them. They're just not moving fast enough. And it's not. We don't have time to wait. Like you said, 18 degrees next week.
And what did they say? They said that we're pleased to announce there's going to be so many delivered in 2025. How are these people with the pregnant woman I spoke with last night? How would she make it until 2025? Like, what are they thinking? Like,
Yeah.
Well,
just real quick, you mentioned the churches, though. I think what's sort of like great in all this, the silver lining, is to watch private institutions, churches, people there step into that breach. That must be your source of hope in this right now.
It is unbelievable to watch. I mean, the people on Operation Shelter, none of us knew each other before. We just realized we were all tweeting and posting the same things and that we could trust each other. And then we used our churches, and then we used their churches' connections. We used some nonprofits we knew that would just jump in and help instantly. These aren't people that are going through forms and making us. They are literally just going, Erin, did you vouch for them? Matt, did you vouch for them?
Here's an RV.
Sean Hendricks, did you vouch for them?
Wow.
Here you go. I mean, they
It's
literally
incredible.
are just handing these things to us. So these people would be lost, absolutely lost
Without the
their
church.
help.
No doubt.
Yeah.
And just keep doing what you're doing.
Yep.
And we will pray
Thank
for
you.
you.
Thank
And we will
you.
pray, and we will keep telling the story, because there's, people keep saying that on X, X is now the media, and it is, because this is where these stories are being told, quite frankly. The stories that the national, the people in power in the federal and state government don't want to be told, because they're the ones falling down on the job. And they would rather than help people, they would rather not help and no one talk about it, which is just shameful beyond description. Matt Van Swol, Erin Derham, bless you both.
Indeed.
Happy